Everleigh State Primary School, and Minister Grace will talk more about that in a moment, but it's a $75 million investment, and once again a growing area of our state, and of course the facilities that we need are being put into these areas. But I want to talk briefly about getting ready for our runway to the Olympics, and as part of our $100 million infrastructure grants that we are putting out to schools, I'm pleased to announce today the first tranche. And the first tranche of applications will be open, and it is $7 million, and it's for sporting equipment. So I want to encourage all schools out there to apply for sporting equipment. This is fantastic news. So it could be balls, nets, it could be things for soccer, it could be bibs, mats, training accessories, athletics equipment, and 50% of the $7 million will be in regional Queensland. So I am ensuring that regional Queensland is getting its fair share. So applications will open for grants up to $5,000. So we'll be announcing more of the grant processes next year, but I'm very pleased today to announce that first part, that $7 million for sporting equipment to assist our future young people become more active, more healthy, and perhaps an Olympic champion or an Olympic athlete in the making. I'll hand over to Grace, and it's great to be here, of course, with Linus and Cherise, and then we're happy to take a few questions after that. Thanks, Grace.
Thank you, Premier. And it is great to be here once again. I stood with the Premier here to officially open the first day of school in February this year. We had a bit of a delayed start, but this school has certainly done very well. They started with 250 members, and Cherise Mullen and Linus Powell, they both joined us on that day, and it was great to be here again. This school has 250 students it started with, and next year already we're growing to 380. That's what we've already got enrolled for this school. It's a $75 million investment. Stage 1 caters for 700 students, and this school will grow quite large, and we're looking at Stage 2 to open in 2024. Now, as we know, the school has got some fantastic facilities like these beautiful courts we're on here this morning, excellent classrooms, indoor halls and multi-purpose courts, prep areas, amenities, canteens, covered areas, just an excellent state-of-the-art educational facility in an emerging community right here at Everleigh State School. The contract for Stage 2 will be let out in early 2023, and after Stage 2 we're looking at a build capacity of well over 1,000, around 1,400 students attending this fantastic growing area. Can I thank Mirvac for the land that we are on here today to provide for these excellent facilities, and also to FKG and Open Architecture, who were the builders and the architects. Premier and I are delighted in opening new schools. I love being with the Premier when we open new schools, and 4 of those we're opening up next year. Wiggaroo Creek State School in Augustine Heights, South Rock at Yarrabilba, once again in Linus Power in his area, Ripley Central State School and Palmview State Secondary College. And that brings the new schools that we've opened since the Palaszczuk government was elected in 2015 to 25 new schools in some of our fastest growing areas of Queensland. So it is fantastic. It creates jobs. It's a great investment in our communities, and we just love investing and opening new schools. Can I just quickly add that we've had the results on the enterprise bargaining agreement with teachers, and we've had a 94% return yes vote. So that is a solid confidence in the EB going forward. We're looking out to rolling out all the increases that are in that enterprise bargaining. It will make our teachers some of the best paid in the country. It includes a cost of living adjustment, and I thank all the teachers and the union for great negotiations in delivering a very good agreement for teachers over the next 3 years. But a 94% yes vote is a solid endorsement of our enterprise bargaining agreement. Thank you.
Sure. I just want to thank you.
Sorry, Linus.
I wanted to welcome the Premier and of course the Education Minister and of course all of you here. This is really the coalface of where the Palaszczuk government is absolutely investing in growing outer areas. I've just come this morning from the Everleigh State Secondary College where they've got their new Performing Arts Centre, and it's one of the new schools we've built. And right next to South Rock, the school that Minister Grace actually mentioned. It's a fantastic school, and this is where we're making the investment. We see here, and you can see the bulldozers around, new developments and new families moving out, and we're backing them with the services that matter, whether that's in schools or in health, and investment in roads. We're making this investment right here where there is growth, where there are new families, and we're supporting them, backing them. And you're going to see a state-of-the-art, fantastic school here today that everyone can be proud of in this community, and it's growing at a great rate with fantastic principals and great teachers. So I would welcome you here, and it's a great opportunity to see the Palaszczuk government's priorities in action.
Thank you. Good morning. Cherise Mullen MP. Welcome to Greenbank. Linus Power and I are so privileged to represent what is a really growing area of southeast Queensland. Greenbank is part of the Greater Flagstone Priority Development Area, and we are seeing incredible investment from our government in this area to deal with the growth. And the truth is that a school like this we knew was going to be very popular, and Everleigh State School has proven to be so, with enrolment numbers clearly showing that. I'd like to congratulate Principal Nicole Wheatley on what has been an incredible first year for the school. The students are loving it. The results are coming back that there is this real commitment to the school, and I just want to thank everyone who was involved in the construction of these incredible quality education facilities right here in Greenbank. And I've got Woogaroo Creek State School, which is opening next year as well, and I'm very excited to see that progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on the school first?
About kids' sports.
Yes.
Are you concerned that with the rise of cost of living, more parents could be pulling their kids out of sports, and will you look at expanding the Fair Play voucher scheme?
There is the Fair Play voucher scheme, but at the moment what we're trying to do is facilitate more schools, especially schools in disadvantaged areas, to have more access to equipment. So this is the first step, the equipment going out there to get children more active. Okay, any other questions? Yes. Well, there's recommendations in the report about setting up a integrity unit. What the government is going to be working through now with Steve Golczewski and of course Linda Appelt is how the Coldrake review intersects with the recommendations. We do know that there is an ethical standards unit at the moment. I understand that they are at the moment looking at employing more psychologists to help with witnesses that want to come forward, especially with their grievances. And I think it's good to have a good look at those processes, because people should have no fear of coming forward with allegations of sexism, racism or misogyny.
Can you explain what that means in terms of merging the Coldrake review recommendations with the Commission of Inquiry recommendations?
Yeah, so Coldrake recommended that there be a clearinghouse. So, of course, we'll be looking at all of those reviews that Peter Coldrake did in those recommendations, and then government will, of course, be putting in the resources that are needed. Let me make it very clear, there has been some commentary about funding. We have put in $100 million straight away. Now, of course, when it comes to looking at the Coldrake review with the Commission of Inquiry review, of course, there will be more funding that will come through the budget system that government will give to implement the implementation of those recommendations.
Will that integrity unit have civilian investigators?
Well, this is what the Steve Golczewski, who is appointed as the Special Commissioner, and Linda Appelt will be working through very thoroughly in terms of how those processes will work. Yes.
Will you be attending the Queensland Resources Council lunch today?
No, I won't be, and let me say very clearly that the resources industry in this state is very strong. Last week I attended a lunch with energy companies. I have also last week met with Mitsubishi, and just yesterday I met with one of the biggest players in the energy sector in Spain. I make no apologies that next year I'll be taking 2 trade missions, one focusing on energy over to Europe to get more investment into Queensland, and the second trade mission will be over to Southeast Asia, of course to Japan and South Korea, of course very strong trading partners. Our trade to Japan has increased substantially. What I've always said, and I maintain, well, I've always given the Japanese government security of supply. That is very important when other countries around the world cannot provide that security of supply. Secondly, let me say this. The Queensland Resources Council wants to mount a $40 million campaign against the Queensland government. If they have $40 million, just think about that for a moment, $40 million for an advertising campaign, I can build a special school in Queensland for $40 million. I can put money into housing, $40 million. I can put $40 million to very, very good use towards another satellite hospital. Let me make it very, very clear. I am extremely disappointed in Ian Macfarlane and his attacks on the government. Let me also say I have very strong working relationships with a whole range of companies, and I will continue to back resources in this state.
You've given keynote addresses in the past few years. Were you
Yes.
invited
I was invited to today's lunch. I have made it very clear that my ministers will not be attending this lunch because of the campaign, the $40 million campaign. That $40 million, if companies are making $40 million to go into a campaign, that money can be very well spent in the lead up to Christmas helping Queenslanders.
So you're essentially boycotting this lunch.
Correct.
Is
Sorry?
that how angry?
I am angry about this, but let me say this. At the end of the year, I will be meeting with resources companies. They will be, of course, invited to the annual end-of-year cabinet reception. And, of course, my ministers continuously meet companies. In fact, next week I am sending Minister Scott Stewart, he has leave from Parliament, I've granted him leave, to attend a big mining expo in London.
Can I ask you about another matter? Peter Beattie
Yes.
made some comments last week about succession
Yes.
plans. Have you put any thought into who should succeed you when you inevitably leave the leadership?
Well, I'm very determined to continue doing my job for the people of this state. And everywhere I go, Queenslanders are encouraging me and supporting me in the job that I'm doing on behalf of them.
Well,
To Peter Beattie, can I say, happy 70th birthday. When I turn 70, I hope to be spending it with family and friends, and I won't be writing columns.
Well, next, because you said you want to run again in 2024, correct?
I am running again.
Will next term be your last term?
Oh. It's up to the people of Queensland. It's up to the people of Queensland.
But what about people like Cameron Dick or Stephen Miles? Do you think they could, or even Grace, do you think they could succeed you as Premier?
There is a lot of talent in the government. A lot of talent, and they're working very hard for Queenslanders. All right. Any other questions on any other topics?
Mackay Hospital and Health Board.
Yes. Yep. 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 Yes, I do. And let me say this is a very serious issue, and I know that the Minister did not take these actions lightly. What happened at the Mackay Hospital, we don't want to see happen again. My understanding is that the former chair has also made some comments saying that they accept responsibility. And let me make it very clear that the Minister has the powers to sack a board if the board is not performing their duties. And she made the determination based on legal advice that they were not up to the job, they were not performing, and that is why she took that extraordinary measure, and let me say it is an extraordinary measure, of utilising her powers under the Act to sack the board.
And on the housing crisis,
Yes.
what are some of the tangible outcomes for young people?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Marlena. And I spoke with the Minister this morning, and she's also spoken with PCare with Lindsay. I won't reveal those conversations. You can speak to Lindsay and to the Minister if you want to. But my understanding is that he related to the Minister that the comments were taken out of context. And also, let me make it very clear that children are not removed because of housing. only the courts make those decisions.
How's the government going in terms of finding emergency accommodation, for example, with the Catholic Church, and when can we expect to see the Griffith stuff underway?
So that's a very good question. And of course, I made a commitment that after the Housing Summit, I would be tabling in Parliament our outcomes. I had a briefing on that yesterday, and that report will be tabled by myself in Parliament next week. We'll be addressing a whole range of issues, including the issues that you've just raised. Okay? Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.